Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and today we're going to look at the Dragons of Tarkir event deck list. And this information just came out from Wizards of the Coast yesterday, and this product will be available starting March 27th. And usually you can find these typically in your local game stores. You don't tend to see these, say, in your Walmarts or Targets like you do some of the starter deck products, but just thought we'd take a few minutes, look through the cards, and just I'll give you my thoughts on the deck quickly too. These decks are really meant to be a deck that you can buy at your local game store and play competitively at Friday Night Magic and Standard. So kind of look at this deck through those glasses, I guess. And the first card is Boon Satyr. Now you get a one of in your deck. Boon Satyr is a great card, it's a really fine standard card, but you only get one. And I don't know how economical that is, but it is a very good card. You get four Elvish Mystics, classic ramp card, and my one question you'll see as we go through the deck is I'm not really sure what we're ramping to. This is a pretty aggressive ramp, and I don't know where exactly it's going. But there's Elvish Mystic, Fanatic of Xenagos. This is maybe one of the more powerful creatures in this deck just because it only costs 3, and it's potentially a 4/4 trample creature with haste when it comes into play. At worst, it's a 3/3 trample creature. It's still not bad for 3. It's just a very aggressive creature card. Now, it does take 2 different color mana to cast, which might throw you off your curve if you're having some mana color issues. And here's 2 copies of Golden Hind and more ramp. So again, I'm kind of saying to myself, okay, now we've seen 6 ramp cards. Where are we going with this? And we get another really cheap creature, Heir of the Wilds, and 4 of these. And this is another great creature. Probably makes a better limited creature, though, I would say, than standard creature. I mean, the Death Touch is great, but he is very small. I mean, he's a grizzly bear with Death Touch in most cases anyway. You do get one Mistcutter Hydra, and this could be what you're ramping towards to make a bigger Hydra, but that is a very big mana commitment for one creature, and if it is removed, that's not good. Now, it does have haste and protection from blue, and it can't be countered, so it does have some ways to protect itself, mostly against blue, though. Mogus Warhound, and this is a 2 of in the deck. And again, another very strong, economically priced card. It's going to help maybe take some of those mana rampers and turn them into actual attacking threats early on in the game. Polis Crusher, another cheap threat, 4/4 for 4, has trample and protection from enchantments if that becomes a thing. And in standard, it is still a thing. I mean, devotion decks are still running a lot of enchantments and stuff. There's still a lot of Theros block cards being played out there, so this is fine. Savage Knuckleblade, and another really cheap, strong creature. It's kind of a mana sink, so again, this is something you can do with that extra mana. But again, it's only a 1 of, so you're kind of hoping that you draw this guy and get him in a 60 card deck. You get a Sirach the Hunt Caller, so he's a new card. Haven't had a chance, obviously, to play with him yet, but you get a 1 of him, and he's another really economically cost creature. So I guess this is a good time to say, I'm confused by the ramp. I mean, there are some mana sinks in the here, but they're just 1 ofs here and there, and the best creatures are like really cheap. So I kind of feel like I can replace the mana sinks with maybe more aggressive creatures or some removal or some more support cards. I guess that's kind of my thought as I glance at this. You also get a 1 of a Thunderbreak Regent. Again, another super economically priced card. This is a great card. I mean, you could possibly maybe get lucky and win some games with this deck just if you draw some of these aggro creatures, because it's a pretty fast deck, and if your opponent's not right off to the races in the first couple turns, and they miss a land drop or something, you could get the drop on them and win a game. So there is some potential there. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a horrible, horrible build. I just think there's a lot of things you can do to improve it. Yasova Dragonclaw, and this guy can be a house, and he's still good in standard. He's maybe better in limited, but a really fine card. He's a little fragile being a 4/2, but he doesn't even have to attack in. You can use his ability without him attacking. I did a draft and posted it on the channel a few weeks back where I drafted this guy, and he did some serious work in one of the games. Arc Lightning. Now, deck has a 1 of. You'll see in a few moments there are a couple more in the sideboard. So maybe it's just simply sideboarding some of those mana rampers out for more removal like Arc Lightning, but this is premium removal. It's a fine card. And you get a Crater's Claw, which is a good finishing card. Again, it's only a 1/0, but that's okay. You don't necessarily want a ton of these in your deck, but you want to hopefully be able to get a hold of this your late game once the bigger creatures have taken over the board and your smaller creatures might not be able to get across anymore. You get 2 Lightning Strikes in the main deck. Again, premium removal card. Very good utility card. You get an Outpost Siege, which is card draw, which this deck desperately needs is card draw. Now you only get a 1/0, so hope you draw it. But yeah, it's a really good card to have in there. You get 2 copies of Roast. Again, new card. It's a sorcery. Can't touch creatures with flying, but that's okay. That's going to do you just fine. There's still a lot of great ground pounding creatures out there this thing can take out. Can't do it at instant speed, but it's still a very good removal card considering it only costs 2. You get a Stubborn Denial in your main board, and again, just another way to kind of protect yourself. It's a very limited kind of splash of blue in this deck. You'll notice again. I don't know if that's necessary, but Stubborn Denial is a decent card. Teamer Charm. Now, I probably would keep the splash of blue for Teamer Charm because this is going to allow your creatures to get by and get past the larger creatures in the late game, especially. So you get 2 copies of that in the deck. And you also get Wild Slash, which is another very strong direct damage card. So I do like that a lot. And so we'll get to the mana base now. You get 4 Evolving Wilds, and that's pretty good, especially to help you with that blue splash. As you'll see, the deck isn't running a whole lot of blue sources. This is your main blue source here. You get 4 copies of Frontier Bivouac, and yeah, 3 different color mana. That's perfect for this deck. It does come into play tap, so it's a little slow. You know, if you were to upgrade this deck, you could probably find something like maybe Fetch Lands or something like that. They could speed it up a little bit. You get 1 copy of Temple of Abandon, which is an awesome card, very premium, dual land, but you only get 1 copy of it, but a very fine card. And then it will round out the deck with 10 forests, 1 island, and 5 mountains. And we'll quickly look at the sideboard. You get 2 copies of Abzan Beastmaster, 2 copies of Act of Treason, 2 more copies of Arc Lightning, 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 copies of Encase in Ice, which is one of the new Color Hoser sideboard cards. Really powerful card if you're playing against red or green. 2 copies of Reclamation Sage to deal with artifacts or more enchantment removal. 2 copies of Rending Volley. Again, another chance to try this out and kind of see what this thing can do against white and blue creatures. It can't be countered. I love this card. And you get 1 more copy of Stubborn Denial in your sideboard as well. And that rounds out the deck. Just to give you my impressions of it, I throw the disclaimer out there. Obviously, I haven't played with the deck yet. And I don't know if I will, honestly. My biggest issue with this product, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about it the wrong way, but it's the Dragons of Tarkir event deck. It's coming out about the same time the Dragons of Tarkir set's coming out, and there's only a few Dragons of Tarkir cards in here. I mean, there's still Theros cards in here, and Theros is a lot of fun. It's a great block, and some of the cards in here that are powerful are from Theros. However, Theros is going to rotate out in a few months, really, in the scheme of things. So I find it hard to package this as a Dragons of Tarkir product when it's not even going to be standard legal in this fall when Zendikar comes out. So I don't know. That kind of sits weird with me. The other thing is it's also marketed as, hey, I show up at my local game store. I don't have a deck to play Friday Night Magic, so I can buy this deck. And yeah, you know what? You can, and it will allow you to play in the tournament, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's still fun, even if you're not expecting to win the tournament. I mean, obviously, don't expect to do really well with this deck. You're going to be playing against really fine-tuned standard decks and Decklist decks from the Pro Tour and stuff, and this thing, unfortunately, I don't think will stand a chance. Like I said, you could get lucky and cheat out a couple wins here and there just because it's really fast, and maybe that was the strategy. You could also use this as a starting point to build a better deck, but quite honestly, I don't know even if you did that, I don't know if you're going to come out with a deck that's going to be that competitive, and especially by the time you do that, a lot of cards will be rotating out, and the metagame is always changing as well. So, I like the fact that it's an affordable way to go in and be able to play Friday Night Magic, but there's a few things about this product I just feel like it doesn't quite know what it's marketed to or what it's doing. The starter decks that they come out with, and there's 5 that come out with every set. There's going to be another 5 that come out with Dragons of Tarkir, and Wizards of the Coast has also just announced those deck lists. Those are, I think, better products because at least a new player can pick that up, and you know what it is. It's got mostly Dragons of Tarkir cards in it, and it really feels like you're playing with more recent cards. Some of the new cards you get to play around with, and that's fun. But that makes sense to me. But this one, just I don't know if this is a product that I think it just needs some tweaking long term. So, but those are just my thoughts. Agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. Hey, as always, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.